What if the person behind you in a photo wasn't there when you took it? Would you even notice? Or would it take something darker, something missing, before you went back and looked? They were just supposed to be date night selfies, posted in real time, laughing, hashtags glowing. But now, half of every couple who posted those pics is gone. And somehow, their Snapchat stories keep updating. He said it was just supposed to be a walk. Nothing big. Just the two of them. Jordan Andale, 24. Graphic designer. Kind. Smart. Overthinker. Tara Menken, 23. Bookstore manager. Sarcastic. Sweet. The brave one. They were celebrating their 2-year anniversary. With cheap wine and spooky vibes. Stanley Park was quiet that night. Too quiet. But that's why they liked it. No crowds. No noise. Just trees. Fog. The faint sound of the sea licking the rocks. They didn't see anyone around. Until they checked the photo later. There was a man, in a dark hood, standing 10 feet behind them. But here's the thing. They didn't remember anyone walking by. Not once. No footsteps. No voices. Just birds. Crickets. And the whisper of wind. Jordan laughed it off. Said it was probably a filter glitch. Or a random jogger. But Tara, she stared at the blur. Zoomed in. And that's when her hands started to shake. Because the hooded figure's face wasn't blurry from motion. It was just blank. No eyes. No mouth. Just skin stretched tight over bone. Like someone had forgotten to finish him. She deleted the photo. Said nothing. Smiled. Kept walking. But she wouldn't sleep that night. She'd keep looking over her shoulder. Even when she was alone. 2 days later, Tara stopped replying. Texts turned green. Calls rang out. Location. Disabled. But Jordan got a notification that froze his blood. Tara's Snapchat had just posted a photo. Captioned, "Still walking." It showed trees, fog, and in the distance, an abandoned building with broken windows. Jordan recognized it instantly because it wasn't just anywhere. It was Rivervale Sanatorium, a shut-down tuberculosis hospital, raised after a fire 20 years ago. No one goes there, not even ghost hunters. So why was her story tagged there? He drove all night, didn't stop, didn't tell anyone. He parked outside the collapsed fence. The trees looked wrong, too still, too sharp, like they'd grown around secrets no one should touch. The front steps were covered in leaves, but there were fresh shoe prints, small ones, Tara's size. He went in. The smell hit first. Old blood, wet metal, and something else, teeth, lined across the floor like breadcrumbs. Some cracked, some pristine, some still bleeding. And at the end of the hallway, a broken phone, still recording, still live on Snapchat. He picked it up and whispered her name. No answer, just the hum of static. Then, flash, camera on, unprompted. The last photo taken was of Jordan, but it wasn't his hand holding the phone. Have you ever had a photo taken of you without anyone holding the camera? Now imagine the angle is wrong, like something taller than you was watching from above, and closer than you thought. Jordan didn't remember taking the photo, but there he was, standing in the middle of the hallway, backlit by dying light from a broken window. His eyes were red, not from crying, but from the flash. Too bright, too direct, like a spotlight, in the middle of a nightmare. The phone wasn't his. It was Tara's. He'd bought it for her last December, engraved initials on the case, TM. But the glass was cracked now, and something sticky clung to the back. A reddish smear, half-dried, blood, or worse. He whispered her name again, softer this time, like the walls might be listening. But still, no answer, just echoes, just wind, rattling the loose wires overhead, like something whispering secrets. Tara was terrified of hospitals. Even the smell of antiseptic gave her chills. She'd told him once, after her grandma died in a hospice, that she kept dreaming of white corridors, where the walls pulsed like lungs, and beds wheeled themselves through shadows. And now she was here, or had been. Jordan stepped deeper into the sanatorium. One hand on the wall. The paint peeled under his fingers, revealing something black underneath, like soot, or mold, or memory. There were murals on some of the walls, faded cartoons, paintings of happy children, with missing eyes, hands raised, smiling too wide. He didn't want to look, but his eyes locked anyway, because there, in the corner, someone had scratched words. Into the paint. I didn't run. I waited. He should have left. Right then. But Tara's phone buzzed. It lit up with a message. Just one. From himself. Except, he hadn't sent anything. It read, "She's not done walking yet." Attached was a map pin. He tapped it. The location updated. Still inside the building. But deeper. Underground. There was a maintenance door. At the end of the west wing. Rusty. Half-bolted. But something had pulled it open. And the scratches on the floor looked like they'd been made by fingernails. He hesitated, then stepped through. The staircase beyond led downward. Sharp turns. No lights. Just the sour stink of rot. And something sweeter, like rotting flowers. His flashlight flickered, then caught something on the wall. Photos. Dozens of them. Polaroids. All taped, row by row, like a grotesque yearbook. Each one was a couple. Two people smiling. And in every single photo, a dark shape stood behind them, sometimes in trees, sometimes in mirrors, sometimes just a blur in the glass of a phone. And then, in the next photo of the same couple, only one of them remained, mouth open, eyes hollow, like they'd seen something no one should ever see, and lived just long enough to regret it. Jordan's breath caught. Near the bottom row was him and Tara, the selfie from 2 nights ago, and beneath it, a photo he'd never seen before, just him, standing in the hallway, looking terrified, holding her phone, the exact same image that had appeared on her Snapchat. But this one was dated 2 days before she vanished. That's when he heard it. A laugh, soft, muffled, like someone was trying to laugh through their own sobbing. Then, footsteps, but they didn't echo like his. They scraped, dragged, stopped, then again closer. He turned off the flashlight, held his breath. The air changed, colder, tighter, like the building itself had stopped breathing. He pressed his back to the wall, listened, every muscle screaming to run, but every fear whispering, "Don't move." It sees movement. Then, a whisper, so close, felt like it was inside his ear. Still walking, Jordan ran. Didn't care about being quiet. Didn't care about the teeth that scattered as he stepped, some brittle and dry, some fresh and wet. He pushed through a collapsed hallway, then through what remained of the cafeteria, his feet skidding through something slick. He didn't look down, just kept going, until he burst back out into the night. He didn't stop until he reached the car, locked the doors, started the engine with trembling hands. The headlights caught something. At the edge of the tree line, barely visible, Tara, standing, still, head tilted. She raised her phone. Flash. Then, darkness. What if someone used your phone to show the world you're still alive, even when you're not? Would anyone notice the way you blink wrong? Would they hear the static in your voice? Would they believe it's really you? Or would they scroll past your final scream, disguised as a smile? Jordan didn't sleep. Not that night. Not the night after. Not after what he saw. Because what he saw was Tara, standing at the edge of the woods. Alive, but not. Her face lit by the flash. Her eyes wide open, but not present. She didn't move, didn't wave, didn't speak. She just stood there and raised her phone. The flash pierced the dark like lightning. Then she vanished, literally gone. No rustle, no footstep, no sound, just gone. Like she'd blinked out of the moment. Like something had let her borrow the shape of her old self, just long enough to be seen. Back in his apartment, Jordan did what anyone would. He opened Snapchat. Tara's account was still active, still posting, still alive, as if she was alive. The next update came at 3:12 a.m. A video. He played it, and what he saw made his breath freeze. In the hollow space between his ribs, it was him, sleeping, in his own bed. The angle came from inside the closet. He jumped up, ripped open the door. Nothing, just clothes, shoes, silence. But he didn't sleep again. Not with the light off. Not even with his back to the wall. Because when he checked the video again, it wasn't just him sleeping. Tara's voice whispered beneath the static. "You left me there." Over and over. Looped, layered, like it wasn't coming from her throat, but from behind it. And then, on the 10th replay, the voice changed. It wasn't hers anymore. It was lower, cracked, hungry. "She's still walking." He went to the police. Of course he did. Showed them the photo, the video, the messages. They thought it was grief. Said the mind does strange things when it breaks. Suggested rest. Offered pamphlets. But one officer, a rookie barely older than Jordan, pulled him aside after. He said, "You're not the only one." The cop's name was Rafik. He'd been tracking strange disappearances for nearly a year, quietly, off the books, because the higher-ups didn't want panic in the city. But couples were vanishing. Always couples. The last known photo. Always taken in Stanley Park. Always at night. Always with a third figure. Hooded. Faceless. Standing in the background. Rafik had found 5 cases. But no bodies. No calls. No returns. And every single time, the missing person's social media continued for exactly 13 days. After the disappearance. Then silence. No trace. Like their existence was timed. Rafik called it the echo pattern. Because the digital footprints weren't real actions. They were echoes. Something, someone, was imitating the victims online. Repeating mannerisms, phrases, locations they'd never visited. But the more you watched, the more off it became. Smiles that didn't reach the eyes. Filters used backwards. Captions that read like code. Jordan opened Tara's profile again. There was a new post. No caption. Just a selfie. She was in the bathtub. Water halfway up. Her head tilted. Eyes open. The reflection in the water? It wasn't her. It was him. But wrong. His face was longer. Mouth wider. No pupils. Like a mockery of his own reflection. Drawn by something that only half understood humans. Rafik gasped. He said, "This happened in a case from last winter." The girl disappeared. And a week later, her boyfriend's reflection started appearing in her videos. Jordan asked, "Why would it use me?" And Rafik whispered, "Because whatever this is not taking just one person. It's taking the memory of the bond, the shape of trust, this hunting in pairs." They needed answers, fast, so they tracked the post location. From Tara's newest upload. Pinged. Rivervale Sanatorium again. Same coordinates. But this time, from beneath the main building. Below even the first basement. Jordan had explored. There was a second floor. Unlisted. Unmapped. Unspoken. Rafik made the call. Got a permit. Claimed a security sweep for asbestos. Fake badge. Flashlights. Weapons. They went back. The forest felt different this time. No wind. No birds. Just the crack of their own steps. And the heavy breath of silence. Pressing against their backs. Inside, the wallpaper had changed. No more murals. Just hundreds of faces. Scratched directly into the plaster. Childlike drawings. Smiling. Staring. Bleeding from the eyes. One figure repeated over and over. Tall. Hooded. Faceless. Sometimes holding a phone. Sometimes holding a person. They found the maintenance stairwell again. But now, there was a trapdoor they hadn't seen before. Hidden under an old exam table. Covered in dust and human teeth. Rafik counted. 13. They lifted the hatch. A metal staircase spiraled down into pitch black. Not concrete, not stone, metal, industrial, cold. And the smell? It wasn't death. It was rot and signal, like burnt plastic and ozone, and something trying to be digital. Jordan's phone buzzed. So did Rafiq's. Same time, same message. She's waiting. They started down the stairs. 1 step, 2, 3. The door slammed shut above them. Then, darkness swallowed the light. And somewhere below them, a voice whispered, not into their ears, but into the back of their minds. Still walking. What if the last sound you ever heard was a voice whispering your own thoughts back to you? Would you run? Or would you listen? Because if you listened too long, you might forget which thoughts were yours, and which ones were planted. The trapdoor slammed shut above them. Jordan spun, tried to force it open. It wouldn't budge. The metal groaned, but stayed locked, like the building itself had decided they were staying. Rafiq raised his flashlight, but the beam flickered, just once, but long enough for both of them to hear it. A footstep below, not echoing, but dragging, slow, deliberate. Then came the voices, faint, layered, too many to count. Not whispers, but breaths, like someone exhaling words into the back of their skulls. They descended, 1 step, then another. The metal stairs spiraled down, longer than they should have. By the 5th landing, Jordan was shaking, not from fear, but from the cold. It wasn't just physical. It was a cold that seeped into his mind, like something was turning down his thoughts. Rafiq whispered, "Don't answer them." Jordan nodded, but didn't ask who them was, because deep down, he already knew. At the bottom of the stairs was a hallway, sterile, too clean. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead, but there was no power in the building. No humming, no sound. And yet, the bulbs glowed, with a faint, unnatural hum, like static, woven into silence. Along the walls were screens, hundreds, all built into the concrete. Each one was playing a different story. Snapchat videos, Instagram lives, security feeds, home recordings, all of couples, some laughing, some crying, some running, some screaming. Jordan moved closer. One screen showed Tara, sitting on their old couch, smiling at the camera, but her reflection in the TV behind her was frozen, staring, mouth open. Another screen, a bedroom he didn't recognize, but the man in the video was him, shaking, talking to someone off-screen, begging, "You said I could get her back. You promised." Jordan stumbled back. That conversation had never happened. He'd never said those words. He hadn't. Had he? Rafiq pointed to a nearby screen. This one showed the inside of the sanatorium. Live feed. Time-stamped for the exact moment. It showed them, right now, standing in the hallway. But there was a third figure, standing behind them. A hooded shape, too tall, arms too long, head tilted, like it didn't understand what it was copying. Rafiq turned, flashlight raised. Nothing there. Then, his phone buzzed. He pulled it out. A message. "She's getting tired. Your turn soon." And the photo attached was of his wife. Jordan didn't know Rafiq was married. He never mentioned her. But the way his face drained, you could feel it. Rafiq stepped toward one of the darkened doors. At the far end of the hallway, it was unmarked. No handle. Just fingerprints. Layered. Old. Bloody. He pressed his palm to it. The door slid open, with a mechanical hiss. That didn't match anything else in the building. Inside, cold room, steel walls, monitors, cords, and a chair, bolted to the floor. And sitting in it, Tara. Jordan ran to her, dropped to his knees. She was breathing, eyes closed, hands bound to the chair with red ribbon. Not rope, ribbon. Bright, childlike, mocking. Her phone sat in her lap. Screen cracked, still recording. Jordan called her name. Once, twice, 3 times. No response. Then, she whispered, so soft he almost didn't hear it. He's wearing you now. He pulled her face toward his, tears in his eyes. What do you mean? She didn't answer, just stared, until her eyes focused, past his shoulder. She screamed. Rafik spun, raised his weapon. Something was there. Not walking, not moving, just standing, watching. Jordan turned. The figure looked like him, but older, eyes too wide, smile too sharp. Same clothes, same shoes, same everything. Tilted its head, then whispered. She kept walking. Now you do too. And then, the lights blew out. Chaos. Jordan grabbed Tara, lifted her, ran. Rafik fired his weapon into the dark. Once, twice, then nothing. Static filled the hallway, louder and louder, until it sounded like screaming electronics. Jordan reached the door, Tara in his arms, eyes fluttering, whispering things that didn't make sense. 13 faces, no mirrors, no exit signs, all teeth. He turned back. Rafik. But there was no answer, just the echo of his own voice, played back seconds later, from a speaker above. Rafik. 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 They ran, back up the metal staircase, the trapdoor above now hanging open, inviting. Too easy. Jordan hesitated, looked down. The stairs behind them were gone. Not just dark, gone, like the space had rewritten itself. He pulled Tara up and out, collapsed on the floor of the upper level. The hospital was silent, dusty, rotting, normal, like none of it had happened. But Tara was still shaking, still whispering. And Jordan knew they weren't safe. Not yet, because her phone buzzed again. New post, new story. But this time, he was the one tagged in the location. The caption read, "Still walking. What if your memories weren't just yours, but shared, downloaded, and looped by something that doesn't sleep? What if your life wasn't being watched, but rewritten, and the thing watching you had already started posting in your name?" Jordan stared at Tara's phone. The new post burned behind his eyes. It showed him, standing inside the sanatorium basement, head down, back hunched, his mouth wide open, as if he were screaming. But he hadn't been there. Not since they ran. Not since the stairwell vanished. And yet, the caption said, "Still walking, but he's starting to forget." That's when he noticed the comment section, filled with usernames, but not real ones, just numbers, strings of code, emoji faces with reversed letters. One comment read, "Upload complete. New host confirmed." Another, "This one cracked early. Trace bleeding." He turned to Tara. She hadn't moved, still curled up on the crumbling linoleum, muttering. But her voice wasn't hers anymore. It was layered, like a chorus of versions, each one slightly off, each one saying something different, overlapping, bleeding into each other, like her mind was trying to escape through the cracks in her skull. They needed help, but Rafik was gone, vanished into static. No trace, no echo, like he'd never existed. Jordan carried Tara out of the building, into the trees, into the cold. Her head rested against his chest, and as they reached the edge of the park, he finally heard her say a full sentence. "I think I'm buffering." He took her to his car, locked the doors, started driving. Nowhere specific, just away. But the dashboard lit up. Low signal, no GPS, no updates. Then her phone pinged again. Another post. From his account this time. But he hadn't posted anything. The screen showed a video, shaky, night vision style, walking down a hallway, his voice whispering, "I'm close. She's still in here. I can fix it." He dropped the phone, slammed on the brakes, because the hallway in the video wasn't the sanatorium. It was his apartment. He raced back, fumbled the key in the lock, swung the door open. Nothing. Silence. But then, every screen in the room turned on at once. TV, laptop, tablet, even the microwave. Each one played a different video, each one starring him, sleeping, crying, screaming, searching, and always in the background, that hooded figure, never in motion, just watching, sometimes holding a phone, sometimes holding a face. Tara stood in the doorway now, pale, eyes wide. She pointed to the TV. Jordan turned and froze. The screen showed him, right now, standing in his apartment. But in this version, Tara wasn't beside him. She was behind him, smiling, holding a camera. Her mouth whispered, "Say it." He turned around, but she hadn't moved. Her lips weren't moving. Still, her voice echoed in the room. "Say it, Jordan. Say, I remember." He grabbed her, shook her, tears in his eyes. "I remember what?" Her eyes flicked up, not at him, but past him, at the mirror. There was no reflection, not his, not hers, just the room, empty. She spoke again. "You've been uploaded. You're a draft now." He backed away. No, I got us out. I pulled you out. We ran." She tilted her head and whispered, "Then why are the stairs still behind you?" He turned and froze. The apartment wall was no longer a wall. It was metal stairs, the spiral ones, from the sanatorium, winding down, impossibly far. Below them, something glowed. Not fire, not light, but screens. Dozens, hundreds, all flashing the same phrase. "New content detected." Jordan looked at Tara. Tara smiled. Not her real smile. Too wide, too calm. And she said, "Everyone wants to go viral until the feed starts growing fangs." His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered, but didn't speak. The voice on the other end was his own. "You weren't supposed to leave. You were doing so well." Click. The apartment blinked. 1 second, everything normal. Next second, all the furniture gone. Bare walls. Surfaces pulsing, like veins. He backed away, but his phone buzzed again. A new story, already uploaded. Captioned, "Just one more level." It showed a stairwell, the next one down, and a version of him, already walking it. He collapsed to his knees, felt the static worming into his skull, felt the memory draining. He whispered to Tara, the real Tara, the one he carried out, the one who looked at him, with fear not content. "Tell me something only we know." Tara blinked, then whispered, "The tooth I lost in Vancouver. I never told you." Jordan's eyes widened. He remembered. She lost it at age 7, in a playground, choked on it. They had to call paramedics, and she never told him that. So who was the one beside him now? He stood, backed away, from the stairs, from the false Tara, from the room that was no longer his. And then, he ran, out the door, into the night. But the sky above was wrong. The stars glitched, flickered, shifted like pixels on a dead screen. And every billboard, along the highway, had changed. Each one flashed his face, smiling, captioned, "New series drops in 3 days." He looked at his phone. Final notification. "Your story has reached 13M views. Autoplay will begin shortly." What if every moment of your life, every blink, every breath, every mistake, was already being watched? Not by people, not by followers, but by something that's been waiting for your story to hit autoplay. Jordan drove with no direction. The highway looked endless, but wrong. Signs flickered, streetlights glowed too dim, and every car he passed was empty. Not just empty seats, no drivers, no motion, no faces, just vehicles moving in perfect sync, like props, on a loop track. The world around him felt like a set he hadn't realized he'd walked onto, until now. His phone buzzed again, but he didn't check it. Not yet, because every ping made his teeth ache, like the notifications were inside him, not on the screen. He stopped the car, in the middle of the road, turned off the ignition, sat in silence, and asked himself the question he'd been avoiding since Tara whispered it. If I'm not me, then who's watching this version? He finally checked the phone. No new messages. Just a single notification. Burned into the top of the screen. Autoplay initiated. You are now live. He tapped it. The screen shifted. Not to a home feed. Not to a camera app. But to a stream. A live broadcast. From his own eyes. He was seeing himself. In real time. Like someone else had picked up his POV. And pressed record. And the comments. They weren't in English. Not really. Symbols. Numbers. Flickering emojis that blinked. And bled together like corrupted code. Then one message came through in full clarity. Memory corrupted. Loop restarting. Suddenly he was no longer in the car. He blinked. And found himself. Back in the sanatorium hallway. But not the real one. This one was cleaner. Polished floors. Bright lights. Like a reconstruction. As if someone, or something, had rebuilt the memory. From scratch. The walls pulsed gently. A hum echoed beneath the floorboards. Not electrical, but biological. Jordan looked down. He was holding something. Tara's phone. Still cracked. Still recording. Only now the screen displayed. Director mode on. And below it, a red bar, slowly filling. 99%. He heard footsteps. Not behind him, but above him. Like someone pacing the ceiling. Then, laughter. Children. Dozens of them. Laughing too loud. Too fast. Like it was being played back. At the wrong speed. Jordan moved forward. Down the corridor. The air thickened. Not with heat, but with pressure. Like walking through liquid thought. He passed door after door. Each one marked with a number. Each one slightly open. Inside, versions of him. Some screaming. Some silent. Some smiling into mirrors. That didn't reflect them back. He opened one door fully. Inside was a screen. Huge. Filling the wall. It showed the first night at Stanley Park. Him and Tara. Laughing. Taking selfies. But in this version, there was no hooded figure. Just the two of them. Happy. Pure. Real. He reached toward the screen. And it flickered. Then glitched. And suddenly, he was inside it. He was standing in Stanley Park again. Fog low. The sounds of waves nearby. Tara ahead of him. She turned. Smiled. Take the picture. He raised his phone. But the camera app wouldn't open. Instead, the screen displayed. Filter. Entity mode active. Synthesizing presence. And just before the shutter snapped, he saw it again. The hooded blur. Not behind them, but inside the phone. Watching. Waiting. Its reflection leaking through the lens. Like ink in water. Click. The photo uploaded on its own. Hashtag. Hashtag still walking. Jordan dropped the phone. Backed away. But Tara didn't move. She stayed still. Eyes frozen. Mouth twitching. And she whispered, "You're going viral again, babe." He blinked. And the illusion shattered. Back in the sanatorium. Back in the hallway. Only now, the screens had changed. Every monitor showed him. But not just him. Every version of him. From every timeline. Every loop. Running. Crying. Killing. One screen showed him. Staring into a mirror. Pulling off his own face. Underneath was static. Just white noise. And an endless, pulsing eye. Another screen showed Tara. But her body was filled with wires. And the hooded figure stood behind her. Plugging something into the back of her neck. Uploading her. The red bar reached 100%. Jordan's phone buzzed. The final notification. Upload complete. Final scene ready. Choose your ending. 2 buttons appeared. Delete story. Stream forever. His hand hovered. Shaking. He looked to the nearest screen. Saw himself crying. Begging. Then, he tapped delete. The phone shattered in his hand. Splitting down the middle. With a scream. That didn't come from the device. But from inside him. Everything went black. He woke up in the woods. Cold. Alone. The sanatorium gone. No building. No stairs. No signal. Tara lay next to him. eyes open, breathing soft. But this time, her smile was real, small, wounded, human. She whispered, "Did we make it out?" Jordan didn't know, but for the first time, there was no buzzing, no ping, no screen, just birds, trees, sky, until a final sound echoed from deep in his pocket. Not a notification, not a call, but a mechanical voice. Autoplay will resume in 3, 2, 1. What if the final moment of your life wasn't death, but being watched forever? What if your escape was just another episode in something else's feed, and it was never you in control? The voice echoed from Jordan's pocket. Autoplay will resume in 3, 2, 1. Then, silence. Nothing played. No screen lit up. No static. Just wind. Just birds. Just the sound of Tara's breath. Shivering in the stillness beside him, Jordan sat up. His body ached. His head spun. The trees around them looked normal, real, alive. No screens. No whispers. No corridors shaped like memories. And the sanatorium was gone. No building. No bricks. Just a flat, moss-covered hill, where the foundation used to be, almost like the forest itself had swallowed it to protect whatever was left of them. Tara stirred, looked up. Sunlight caught her eyes. "I dreamed we were inside a phone," she whispered. "And everything I said, someone else typed it first." Jordan reached for her, held her, tighter than before. "I deleted it," he said. "I ended it. We're out." But even as he said the words, something inside him twitched. Not pain, not fear. A pause, a delay, between word and meaning. They walked, hours maybe, back to the city, back to the world that moved, like it didn't know what almost consumed them. But when they reached the edge of town, they noticed something. No one would meet their eyes. People looked through them, around them, past them, and on every billboard, every ad screen, every scrolling feed, their faces appeared, not smiling, not posing, but watching. Live feeds, looped clips, blurred, shaky footage, from inside bedrooms, hospitals, streets, and underneath each video, #StillWalking, #Sanatorium Series, #Jordan and Tara LIV. They rushed into a store, turned on the news. A viral sensation was sweeping the internet. The Stanley Park disappearances. A new mystery docuseries that nobody made. It just showed up. Theories flooded the comments. Are they actors? Is this AI-generated horror? ARG or real? Is Jordan even real? Where's part 8? But there was no part 8. Only more loops, more versions, more glitches, wearing their faces like borrowed skin. They smashed the phones, every last one, cut cords, tore batteries, but it didn't stop. At night, their reflections lagged. Tara's mouth would move, half a second after her voice. Jordan's footsteps echoed, before he even took a step. And sometimes, in the corner of their eyes, they saw it, that hooded figure, not following, not chasing, just filming. Tara broke first. Not her mind, her memory. She forgot how many siblings she had. Then her old address. Then her own birthday. One day she looked at Jordan and said, "How do I know you're the original?" He didn't answer, because he wasn't sure anymore. Jordan began seeing duplicates of himself. In windows, in passing cars, in flashes of other people's selfies. Always the same expression, like he was warning himself, too late. Then came the worst moment of all. He received a notification, but this time, not from the past, from the future. Your scheduled post is ready. October 3rd, 2025. Final goodbye. Attached was a photo. Tara standing in Stanley Park, looking directly into the camera. Behind her, Jordan. Not this Jordan, but one still smiling, his hand on her shoulder, his mouth beginning to open, like he was about to say, "Still walking." Jordan lost time. Days blinked by. Sometimes he woke up, already dressed, already walking. Sometimes Tara would scream at him, "You're not you. Where did he go?" And he would swear he hadn't moved, that it wasn't him, posting the new clips, uploading the new lives, that the man smiling in her stories was someone else, wearing him. Then came the final glitch. The world stopped syncing. Their voices overlapped themselves. Screens refused to turn off. Their faces began replacing ad models. Even store mannequins began to resemble them. The feed was no longer online. It was real. And reality was buffering. Tara turned to him one night, held his face in her hands. "If we're not real anymore," she said, "then we need to leave the place. That needs us to perform." They made a plan. To vanish. Not just run, but disconnect. Leave no phones, no signals, no cameras, no names. Just the woods, the water, the silence. But the final post arrived before they could go. It uploaded on its own. A still image. Their backs turned. Walking into a dark forest. Captioned, "In memory of the ones who never stopped walking." Underneath in the comments, "Would you like to watch from the beginning? Click here to relive the loop." New viewers always welcome. And that's how it ends. Not with a scream, not with death, not even with a twist, but with the question that haunts every blinking screen and every scrolling feed. Do you think this was a ghost? Or something worse? Comment below. We read everything. Subscribe to the Veil of Secret for more terrifying true stories.